Standing out crew, what is going on? What's happening? Welcome. Happy Tuesday. Hope everyone had a great Memorial Day weekend. Hope you got some good time off, some good time with your family, with your friends. Maybe you grilled out and had a pool party or something like that. But we hope that you had a great weekend. Well, welcome back. Welcome to Standing Out, a daily podcast about sales, marketing, and leadership. Usually your host is Trey Griggs, as you know, but today you get me. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Chris Horton. I'm the sales and operations director for Beta Consulting Group. I've been working with Trey for a little while now. We're building a good relationship. We're building some great business, and we'd just be excited to have a conversation with you around your marketing, branding, content needs. So check us out at betaconsultinggroup.com. We'd love to have a conversation with you, get to know you, your business a little bit, and see how we might be able to help you out. Well, I'm really excited about today's show. My good friend James Diel is going to join us. He's an entrepreneur. He's a CEO. He's a founder of several companies. So we're going to talk about all that. We're going to talk about communication and leadership and entrepreneurship and what it means to take steps and kind of take control of your own destiny, your own business. And I'm excited to have that conversation with him. But before we do that, we got to give a shout out to our sponsor, TAFs. These are the good guys in freight factoring. Their mission is to educate carriers and owner operators, help them grow, have access to capital and resources, and discounts on fuel and tires and all the other services that are required for a trucker to be successful. So if you're a truck owner operator, be sure to click on the link in the comments, and TAFs can help you get started at TAFs.com today. Well, let's go ahead and bring in my good friend James Diel to the show. Excited to talk to him. We're going to bring him in and have a great conversation. James, how you doing, man?
Hey, great, Chris. Good to see you, man. How you doing?
Good to see you too. I appreciate you joining the show from your awesome looking office. Is that at your office or is
It is?
that,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah, this is the office. Yeah, we moved into this space about a year ago. So yeah, we're pretty excited about it. Love it.
Oh, okay, and it's in downtown St. Louis. Is that right?
Downtown, about 4 blocks from the stadium, right next to the brewery over here, the Four Hands Brewery, great brewery. So
Four Hands is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I love it down there. We'll have to head over there sometime. Yeah, that's it. That's fantastic. Well, again, welcome to the show. We're glad that you're able to join us. Real quick, if you could just tell everyone a little bit about yourself and how you and I met.
Yeah, so absolutely. So my background, been here in St. Louis for about 21 years now, I guess. So it's been a little while. I'm originally from Wisconsin. And when I moved to St. Louis, I got in the payment space, started selling credit card processing, knocking door to door in Webster Groves and beyond. Spent a lot of time all over St. Louis, working with small businesses, selling them credit card processing. And so a couple of years into that, I figured I knew enough to be dangerous. And my cousins and I started a company called Gravity Payments. And that company has done well in the payment space, headquartered out of Seattle. And after doing that for about probably 10 years, I started to get the itch to do something more in the technology side of things, and started looking with a couple other guys, just kicking around different app ideas, different. We actually started an app where we thought we were going to build a video interaction with colleges for prospective students, so they could get on and have a video chat with somebody that was already going to school there. And this was like going to be an app based. Mm-hmm. We kind of kicked that around, went through Arch grants over here, didn't get selected, and we're like, well, I guess that's not going to work. Moved on to the next idea. So we went through a couple of ideas until I stumbled onto the one I'm doing today, which is a text messaging platform. And so, yeah, we have been doing that now for the last 8 years. That business is growing. We're venture backed. But I have 4 kids and a wife. We live over in Kirkwood and just living the dream here in St. Louis.
That's excellent. And we've known each other for about 8 years now.
Yeah, I think so. Right.
9 years, something like that. Yeah, we met at church and we're part of a small group together, and we just became good friends and hang out regularly to this day. So
Yeah, absolutely. I think you one of the things. So you play music. You were
mhm.
leading worship there at church, and loved your style, loved the way you did things, and we got to be friends there. There was a time when you spent a lot of time at our house in the evenings drinking whiskey.
Oh yeah,
And,
it's my kind of night. Good friends, good drink. I love it. I love it. Trey just said it's dangerous to know enough to be dangerous. I love it. I
there
love it.
we go.
It's a great mentality to have. So you mentioned you've started a couple companies in the last 15, 20 years or so. Like you've got that spirit about you. You're an entrepreneur. What led that to you? Like what led you to that mentality, that spirit? Because have you always been an entrepreneur? Has that always been a part of who you are, or how did you come into that world?
Yeah, I'd say it is something I've always been. I can remember when I was about 7 or 8 getting the Olympia catalog, and I don't know if that means anything to you or any of the listeners here, but that was where you would pick out the awards you wanted, the remote control car or the tent, the pop up tent or whatever it was, and then you would go sell news or wrapping paper and cards. So,
Absolutely.
so I did that door to door multiple times trying to get that remote controlled car. I did, and then I started when I was about 12. I started mowing lawns. I had a riding tractor and a walk behind, and a weed whacker and a trailer, and I'd drive around to subdivisions. And I had 7 or 8 lawns every summer, and so I was always looking for ways to make money creatively and liked doing my own thing.
That's
So yeah,
yeah.
I didn't. Fast forward, then I went through some stages where I did work for other people and enjoyed that, learned a lot. But ultimately, there was a time in my life where I was like, I want to work for myself. I don't ever want to work for somebody else. And
Mhm.
I get it. You're always kind of working for someone. I have a board, right? I mean,
Sure.
I have people you have to be accountable to, and you have to fall in line with. But I liked being able to. Just kind of control my own destiny, I guess, and to benefit from what the efforts I put forth. And so yeah, that's what led me into kind of starting my own thing and having the freedom and independence to do that.
Yeah, I think I can relate to that feeling a lot. That's really what led me to working with Trey, and taking a step out of a world that I'd been a part of for so long. I've been in ministry 13, 14 years, full-time ministry. I started when I was young. I love the church. I love serving. I love leading worship and teaching and preaching. But the truth is, I kind of got to a point where I'm like, man, I really the idea of kind of controlling my own professional trajectory and professional development and destiny kind of got a hold of me, and so my wife and I started talking probably a year and a half ago seriously about what a transition might look like, and can we do that? Is it the right thing? And ultimately it was, and here we are, and now I'm getting to have conversations with guys like you who take that step, who take that risk, because it is a risk. Like, there's no denying it's absolutely a risk, especially if you're in a position where you have a family. You guys got 4 kids and um mortgages and cars and all of that stuff, and so taking that step, it's not always an easy step to take.
No, risk is never easy, but I think there's certainly rewards, and it's the rewards though for risk aren't always the monetary reward. A lot of times we think about, well, I'm going to take this step and I'm going to have the risk reward. So you balance it, and you think about it oftentimes in a monetary way. But I think the value of risk is more than that too.
Mm,
It's the ability to expand your horizons. It's the opportunity to just be take up to be more than maybe what you are today, and that has a lasting impact. Maybe more so than even whatever monetary value might be involved in that risk that you take.
Absolutely, I completely agree with you. And one of the cool things that was said to me, you said something, expand your horizons. The way that same sentiment was expressed to me was you're going to see things you've never seen before. You're going to see avenues that you can take, ways not just that you can make money, but that you can grow a network, that you can make connections, that you can learn from people you would never have the opportunity to learn from if you just kind of stayed put, stayed safe, stayed in your and the truth is entrepreneurship is not for everybody.
Sure.
But regardless of what industry you're in, or regardless of what your goals are in your life, there are risks that you can take that will lead to greater outcomes in whatever circle you run in, or whatever area of life you're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's well said, because we we chart our path, but God really directs our ways. And so we just need to know that we can, when we step out in faith, it's not always going to go the way that we anticipate it, but that's okay, because again, when we're trusting that God's in it and that He's leading us, then that's the best place to be. So sometimes that's more. Some people take more risk in that. Some people take less risk, but I think we're all called to take a little bit of risk as we walk through this life.
Life itself is a risk. There's no you can't be risk averse and live any sort of fulfilled life. It's a risk to date. It's a risk to get married. It's a risk to have kids and buy a house and buy a car. Like, all of these things are risks. But it's just awesome to honestly just to be friends with you, and be inspired by someone who's willing to step out and take those risks. As someone I'm a natural introvert. I'm actually pretty quiet, but professionally, I've had to develop and grow and learn to kind of put myself out there and put my ideas out there. And when I was on with Trey a couple weeks ago, we were talking about songwriting. And I was talking about some of the songwriting that I had done back in college and even done as part of the church. And the truth is, that's a huge risk, like creating something from nothing and then putting it on display for people to listen to, partake in, see, critique. It's like, okay, what's this? How's this going to be received? What are people gonna think? About me and this part of myself that I'm putting on. But that's true professionally too. And so I kind of want to hear about Textel. I mean, you guys have been growing like crazy over the last year and a half. Like, tell us a little bit about what's going on there.
Yeah. So when we started the company, it was just kind of on the side. Like I said, I was doing something else, had this idea, but came across this idea of, what if we could make texting for businesses really easy? And what if we could allow consumers, you and me, to text with businesses to the phone number that they would otherwise call? So we started a company that text-enabled existing business phone numbers and made it so that your auto repair shop, or your insurance agent, or your salon, spa, or whatever the businesses that you would we as consumers are interacting with on a regular basis, could text that business and set up an appointment, or reschedule, or ask a question, or get customer service help. And so that expanded over time, and we spent more and more time on it. And so about 2017 or so is when we really started ramping up our focus around, let's take this platform that we're building and let's take it to contact centers and businesses that have groups of people that are interacting with consumers via text. And so we built out the platform and then have integrated into software platforms that serve contact centers. So think major corporations like Sony, Samsung, LinkedIn, 3M. They have groups of people typically sitting in contact centers interacting with consumers, and more they're doing it on text message, or they're wanting to do it on text message. This is the newest channel. There's voice, there's email, there's web chat. Now there's texting. And so we help businesses figure out, well, how do I implement this? How do I do it in a way that's not spamming and compliant with laws, and make it really easy for customers to engage. So that's what we did. And so then in the last about April, so COVID hit, and we were like, okay, what's going to happen? Of course, however, in our business communications became more important than ever, especially letting your customers know that, hey, we're closed today. But here's some things you can do for curbside pickup here. So all of a sudden, messaging, texting, business communication became key. Everybody was working from home, and how do we make this work? So we happen to be in the middle of an industry that benefited from COVID, if you can say that. And so in 2020, we raised a round of funding and just have continued to grow significantly. We grew 80% last year, targeting 100% growth this year, and I'm pretty excited about where we stand today with what's going on. Just in the business, the landscape continues to be, well, yes, we're in a crazy cycle here now with the markets and whatnot, but business communication continues to be a very important thing that we see only scaling up and getting better and better.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, congratulations. That's phenomenal.
Thanks.
It's phenomenal to, like we were just talking about, see someone be willing to take a risk and then see that risk pay off with hard work, with a great team, and with great communication. I mean, communication clearly matters to you. It's really important. It's important in the business world. It's important in our personal lives. As you've grown so fast, how have you seen, as the CEO, you're the founder, you're the CEO, how have you seen the needs of your company change, and how have you kind of adapted to the necessary communication channels just within your own company?
Well, that's a good question. So I have two co-founders, John Meany and Mike Mixon. And so when we started, it was obviously, John actually was remote. So from the get-go, our co-founder back 7-8 years ago, he'd already moved to Colorado. Jealous when he decided to just pick up from St. Louis to Colorado, but he took the risk and went out there and started a new life and loves it out there. But so we started remote immediately, and I've always seen the value when it comes to working together as a team, being in person. Mm-hmm. Certainly because you build value, you build trust when you're face to face. I think it's much, much easier to build trust when you're face to face. And as humans, that's just the way we're created. It's not necessary for all things all the time, but there's a lot of value to it. So it's been important for us. So I know you asked about communication, but it's been important for us to have, even through this whole thing, we went back to the office as quickly as we could, but we went back in a very hybrid, relaxed way.
Sure.
Because while I think remote work is great, remote work's here to stay, hybrid work is what I think is best for us as a team, because it allows people to come into a great space on a regular basis or whenever is convenient, in a convenient cadence for them, and engage with other people that are there, but then go back and take care of the things that they need to take care of in a more flexible manner, have more focused time where they're not going to get distracted by somebody popping into their office. And so as we talk about communication, we've also expanded the company. We went from 6 people to 36 people in about a year and a half. And So we had a lot of growth that way. And, one of the things that hit me probably about halfway through that was some of our employees were saying there was a situation that came up and it was handled and there was communication, but it was pointed out that there could be better communication. There could be more widespread, more active communication. And I think that's just something you never stop working on, because especially as you grow, how you need to communicate, what you need to communicate constantly changes. So I think it's something that you have to work on. We know exactly how to communicate all the time to our team and how to work together. It's kind of a thing you have to constantly be working on, I think.
I completely agree with you. And you said something interesting. You said active communication. It takes effort. It takes effort. It's work to develop effective communication schedules and tools. Like, what works best for us? Are we going to use Teams? Are we going to use Slack? Are we going to use, whatever application or system that you decide to go with? But especially in a scenario, in a situation where your team grows so fast, you're gonna have to be pretty agile. You're gonna have to be pretty flexible as the leadership of a company when you're managing people, when you're trying to manage process. You're making sales, you're raising you're doing all of these things. So you really wear a lot of hats in your context as an entrepreneur, and as a leader. Can you kind of talk about the balancing act, maybe that you feel like what kind of tensions do you feel on a even day-to-day basis, probably within a week, but like, I really got to give some time to this versus I got to give some time over here. Like what has that been like for you as you guys have grown?
So, yeah, as CEO, a CEO role can look different depending on the size of the company. Like I
Sure.
said, we're about we have 36 employees and 8 contractors, so 44 people that we have to communicate with on a regular basis. And um, and what I do, I'm not fully into the point where I'm not operational. I'm still very operational.
Hmm.
And so yes, one day, it might be HR issues, or focus on how do we improve that, or that our strategy there, or individual issues. The next day it's helping dig into our customer experience and see, looking at the metrics that we have there and how do we improve those. And the next day, so I mean, it's and the next day it's sales and looking at our sales numbers and encouraging the sales team, or digging in with my CRO on how do we
Yeah.
strategize about the next quarter, or so it's varied. It's not like I'm not a very singular role, and I actually like that. I like the flexibility of and the different pieces of being involved. I'm not a super hands-on manager. I'm very hands-off. Sometimes that's to my detriment.
Sure.
I'm more like I hired good people. I partnered with good people. I'm gonna empower you, and you tell me if you need my help. But to some extent, that means that they're not always going to come when they need my
Yeah.
help. Sometimes I need to be aware of what's going on, and I need to be able to dig in
Mm.
and stay engaged. So I think that staying engaged is really important when it comes to this communication topic a little bit, in that you stay connected in one-to-ones, you stay engaged. And sometimes a one-to-one with somebody, it might be 10 minutes, it might be 5 minutes, it might
Right.
be 35 or 40 minutes, depending on what's going on. But just
Yeah.
that constant touch base is important. So yes, there's a lot of different things that, at least in my role at my point in time, that I'm pulled into or involved in. But that just kind of goes with the role, and you have to be willing to kind of hold these things lightly.
Yeah.
You're going to get pulled in, and then and then you just got to make up the time whenever you can. As far as well, I guess I'm going to work on that presentation tonight.
Right. Yeah. Trey just said, effective communication is critical in every organization. Communication equals culture. And I think you hit on something that is a part of that and reinforces that idea earlier when you said the hybrid model, because I happen to agree with you. I think being able to work remotely is an incredible thing. I love how technology has advanced. I love that you don't have to have this. You don't have to have a microphone to plug in. Like, you can just use your computer. Like, if you have a computer, you can do most jobs from anywhere now, and it's pretty interesting. It's pretty crazy, but I love uh, the atmosphere of working with people. I love being with people, and especially from a guy who does like sales and team building, team collaboration type stuff. Like, I'm a people person. I love talking to people. I love getting to know people and build relationships. And it's a lot easier to build a relationship when I sit 5 feet from someone
Sure.
than it is to be remote. However, as a family man, as a homeowner, as a an employee, I also enjoy the ability to be like, I get to work from home, 3 days a week, 4 days a week, whatever the schedule may be. But kind of from a CEO perspective, from a founder perspective, um, I would assume that you had some idea of like what you wanted your company culture to be. Communication is absolutely a huge part of that, but building those relationships, face to face when people are in the office, like what has that been like for you guys? Again, as you've grown so fast.
So, again, part of what we wanted to do coming in out of COVID was create a place that people really wanted to be. And so we put effort into making the space, the actual physical space, a place they want to be. But I think too, people want to be in a place where they're valued, where they're respected, and where they enjoy being with the people. So I think it's important, although it's sometimes difficult, to keep the culture. You have to make sure that you're bringing in the right people that are positive, encouraging, making wise choices as an individual, because those individual people can actually have a significant impact from a poisonous standpoint on a culture as well.
Absolutely.
So it's really important, I think, to keep an eye on that. So you can do, you can create something in a physical space, but then so our values, include risk and thank, and we used these kind of action, we want to risk, we want to thank, we want to celebrate. And so we want to give. And so those are things that are important to us. And with those values, then we try to see, okay, so we're encouraging people, like, how are you exemplifying these values? We're doing work anniversaries. We recognize people on their work anniversary, and we go through and we look at the values and we identify how do these people exemplify these values. So there's the active part then of talking about it and engaging in it. And then there's, again, the not so obvious, the subtle parts of making sure that the people there feel valued, feel cared for, feel heard, talking about communication, and that people that are not fits, we have to figure out an option for them. Because if you let people that aren't fits last too long, they can really cause a problem within the organization.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good word. I forget who it was. I think I've heard a lot of people say it, but hire slow, fire fast whenever you need to.
Yeah, and we do one thing which I think is a little unusual. I get torn on this, from time to time, because sometimes somebody's not in the right seat. They're a fit for the organization. They have attitude. They have aptitude. They're just not doing the right job. And so we try very hard to move people to the right job.
That's good.
Before they're exited. But that's a big focus of what we do as a first step always. But sometimes we don't have a right fit, or there is a right fit,
and sometimes that's okay. A parting of ways doesn't have to be a bad thing. Anyway, we've only got a couple minutes left. Trey says it every day. It goes by so fast, and until you're in it, you don't realize how fast it goes. But if you could offer any piece of advice to an aspiring entrepreneur, maybe someone who's really connected with what we were talking about earlier about kind of taking your own destiny into your own hands when it comes to your profession, but maybe they're a little risk averse, what would you say to that person? What would you say to someone who's maybe scared to take that first step?
Wow. So for me, it's not been overly difficult to kind of look for an opportunity and take advantage of it. However, I've met individuals that are much more interested in risk and just like taking on more than I look at them. I met a guy the other day, and he's got multiple things going on, and I can do one thing pretty well at one point in time. At any point in time, I feel like this person, and he was talking about how some business partners that he has are even crazier than he is. So I think everybody has a level that they're comfortable with. So I would say that if you feel like you have this comfort level, what's just like one step outside of that comfort level that you can take? What's that first step? And it can look different. For this person I was chatting with the other evening, his comfort level with business risk and with trying new things and stepping out there, and if it works, it right. If it doesn't, no big deal. Was different than mine, and mine is maybe different than yours and different from others. So I think that when you're looking at this, is if you have this entrepreneur bent at all, or if you're trying to figure out what do I need to do to step out, just what is that one step? What is that next one step to take? So
That's a great piece of advice. The first step is usually the hardest,
it
uh,
really
but
is.
but once you take it and you realize that you can do this, it's just one step at a time. I mean, it sounds super cliche, but the truth is, it's just one step at a time.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
figure out what the first step is, then you figure out what the next step is, then you figure out what the next step is. And you're not always going to take the right steps, but you're taking steps, you're moving, you are pushing yourself further than you felt like you could go. And that's an incredibly important thing in business. It is in life, it is in our spiritual walk, it is in all sorts of areas of our life. So I think that's a great piece of advice. James, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been great hearing your story, hearing about Textel, and getting that advice from you. So I appreciate it, man. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Join Trey back here tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. and every day after that, Monday through Friday, 10:30 every day, Central Standard Time, Standing Out, a daily podcast about sales, marketing, and leadership. We appreciate you guys joining us today. Hope you have a great day.